Hello and a very good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to fifth edition of EPSILON. I'm Nidhi Hegde, WI Head at IEEE SISGST.
Hello, I'm Mukul Vani, Technical Head at IEEE SIS GHT. We are honored and be your host for the session. The previous edition symposium, Epsilon 2024, was an effort of IEEE SIS GHT that proved to be incredibly instructive and fascinating.
Now, we are even more excited to kick off the fifth edition of EPSILON today. This year, we bring you EPSILON 2026 with the theme Dimensions of Discovery. This 3-day symposium is distinguished in 4 tracks: WI, CS, MTTS, and GRSS, where industry experts from various fields will share their expertise of their respective domains. This symposium's third day track is WI with topic Inclusive Health and Preventive Care, where we'll be discussing about physical and mental health across life stages. Today, we have with us Miss Nitika Prabhu ma'am.
We anticipate that the third session of the day, an introduction to a healthy lifestyle, will provide you with a plethora of information and introduce you with some new ideas. And now, for the talk session of the day, we have under WI track of our track event an introductory session named Fundamentals of Holistic Health and Preventive Healthcare. Doesn't it sound great?
We have with us Ms. Nitika Prabhu, a certified trained and practicing art therapist and art wellness coach based in Mumbai, India. She brings over half a decade of experience working with individuals through a holistic approach using art based tools. Her mission is to help people process and regulate their emotions, fostering self acceptance through self awareness. With a compassionate and mindful approach, she empowers individuals to connect with their inner selves and cultivate emotional well being through the healing power of art.
Welcome, ma'am. We are grateful to have you today, and we are looking forward for an incredible session.
Thank you for having me, Mukul and Nidhi. I really appreciate the warm welcome.
Yes, ma'am. So, without any further ado, we would like Ms. Nitika Prabhu to begin the session by throwing light on the technology behind inclusive health and preventive care. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Now, before I begin my session, I would like everybody to understand the concept of holistic health. Since we are talking on this concept today, let's shed some light about the meaning of holistic. So, when we talk about the term holistic, it doesn't mean necessarily that it's a very fancy word or it has to have some kind of dictionary meaning. It basically means a life that you're leading without any kind of restriction, with a full awareness, and it's not with the absence of disease. If you have some kind of disease, you're still having a very holistic approach where you're taking care of all aspects of your life. So, having said that, and explain that to you, I would now like to share my screen, which I think is visible clearly to you all. So, this session today has been curated specifically keeping in mind that we have uh, students going to attend from different backgrounds, different streams, and being in the technical industry, I'm sure you guys have a lot of things going on. I am personally not from a technical background, like I was just discussing with Mukul and Nidhi some time back. So we are going to go through each and every slide, have some interactive sessions, and meanwhile, if there are any questions that you all have, so that your thought process and my session is not interrupted, I would encourage you to please drop in any messages that you want in the chat, okay, with your questions. Now, going forward, I would like to discuss in more detail based on whatever you have thought so far. So let's go through the slides and then let's keep it more interactive. Yeah. So, holistic health and preventive care is our topic for today. And the main point I want to stress on is that it is in our hand where we are making a conscious choice. Okay. So, I want to start off the session by thinking that you have this beautiful visualization of this big Notoki gaddi in your hand every morning. So, imagine you get 86,400 rupees credited to your account every morning. Imagine that credit message that comes from whatever bank you are in. So close your eyes, imagine that message that, so and so has been, so and so bank amount credited to account XYZ 86,400 for the date of 13th February. Okay. You visualize this, you imagined it, you can imagine the currency in your hand. Now, for a second, immediately just think you get another message: 2,000 rupees deducted, 10,000 rupees deducted, 1,000 rupees deducted, with no explanation. You know how you get messages, get this is debited to, say, you go shopping or you go to Starbucks. So much was debited because you swiped it at Starbucks. But suppose you have it debited without any explanation. No explanation at all. 10,000, 2,000, 3,000, just getting debited. So by the time you enjoy that money, you don't know where it's going. How would you respond to that? Can you imagine that loss when it is money, currency? Now, same thing I want you to apply to 86,400 seconds that are being credited to your bank of life every morning. Every morning from the time the day breaks, you have 86,400 seconds that get credited to your bank of life. If you get up and you imagine that message, and if you think that small amounts of this currency of time is being stolen from you, how would you respond? You wouldn't, because you wouldn't care at all. We, in most of our time, have no awareness. There is absolutely zero awareness where this money is going. We are only thinking of the money that is in our hand, which we are spending. But what about this currency? You must have heard this famous thing on Instagram, very famous. Big quotes: time is money, the most precious gift you can give someone is your gift of time. But do we actually practice that? In all honesty, I don't think most of us do. So before we begin with holistic health, you have to be very, very aware of what you are giving away without your knowledge. Correct? Now let's kickstart. What are the basic fundamentals of holistic health? Like I discussed when we began, holistic health as an approach incorporates everything that has to be part of your health. It means your physical health, your mental health, emotional health, and your social well being. So, what do we mean when we are talking about your physical health? Physical health is whether you are active, whether, when you are getting up, does your body hurt? Simple tasks, are they easily done, or are you finding any difficulty? Then, your mental health, are you able to process your emotions in a healthy way? Are you able to communicate properly without any anger issues or anxiety issues? Normal anxiety, fear is okay, but when it starts becoming an issue in your day to day life, that time we have to be considerate about it. Then we need to consider your emotional health. Emotional health is what your relationship is with yourself and with your loved ones. Whether it is balanced, whether you have good communication skills, whether you're able to set your healthy boundaries, these things incorporate your emotional health. Lastly, we are talking about social well being. Now, I'm sure most of you must have studied in school. We are social animals, human beings. Everybody is part of a community. So when you grow up, you're part of your family. Then you start becoming part of your, building where you start playing with your friends. Then it goes into your school, college, then office, then your married life, extended family. So you start becoming part of smaller groups. So these groups also have an impact on your mental health and your physical health because they become influencing factors. So when we are aware of all those four aspects and we are able to balance them beautifully, that is called a good holistic health. Okay. Now, As always, the WHO defines holistic health as something that we take care of, but not merely absence of disease. So, good health doesn't just mean that you are not having any major disease, it has to have a very broader perspective. Make sense so far? So, preventive care reduces the long term harm that we are causing on our body. When all these four aspects are not taken care of or not balanced properly, what happens in the long run is we start getting long term illnesses. Like you might have heard of diabetes or hypertension, autoimmune diseases. All these start because of neglect to these four areas. Now, how do we approach this? And what we are going to cover in the following slides is going to be mainly about self awareness. When one is self aware, making choices becomes much easier. For example, if I know I have diabetes, but I am not self aware that I have the craving for eating sweet whenever I get up or whenever I eat my meals after that. So, if I'm aware of this, I will start making choices accordingly rather than just mindlessly going through my day and adding to my sugar levels. Okay. Now, every time we discuss, we have to have some statistics, we have to have some logic to what we are doing. So, just to give you a rough idea, we have this statistics that mentioned that is one in every seven Indian is experiencing mental health concerns. Now, if you look at the number 1 and 7, it looks very small on the screen. But if you consider the population of India on a bigger scale, you will understand that number is not something that we can neglect. And most of these diseases are rising in the youth more because of lifestyle concerns. So there is nothing to lay blame here, but it is just to create awareness. So when the children or the millennials, or if you call the Gen Zs, there is a stark difference in the way we look at things. Because you call it a privilege or you call it a blessing, but when we were growing up, there was no social media. So no matter what we did, there is no digital proof of all the masti that we have done. And in the present generation, there's a lot of pressure. Everything has to be posted, everything has to be documented before we really experience it. Okay, this is just to give you an example from the top of my head. Now, going to how we prevent this in college years. Now, because we are addressing students, I have made this very specific, and I want you all to just consider it and be mindful about it. Now, when you're going out during the day, your day might be starting either early in the morning or midday, depending on your lectures. So, if you pay attention on good nutrition and a balanced diet, that helps in the long run. When I say long run, I mean right now you eat good nutrition with a balanced diet that helps and prepares your body for the years that are going to come ahead, where you might have high stress jobs, you might have situations where your body is being challenged. But because you've supplied it with good nutrition in your younger days, in the further days, your body will be able to cope up better. Make sense? Great. Now, the second point is 7 to 8 hours of good health, good sleep. Now, when I say good sleep and 7 to 8 hours, I don't mean that you are lying down on your bed at 10. मैं सोने चली गई 10 बजे. That's not what it means. It means proper good sleep. So let me give you an example. Suppose you know that you have the tendency to scroll or you have the tendency to read a book before you go to bed. So you're going to clock your time. Say you have to leave at 8 in the morning and you need to get ready or get up at 7. You're going to do reverse working and you're going to analyze these 7 to 8 hours and be a little more self aware. How much time does it require me to sleep? Okay, there are some children or some individuals who are blessed that they lay their head on their pillow and they immediately fall asleep. Some people have a little struggle. So there has to be that self awareness, and accordingly, you have to clock your time. Okay, now why have I mentioned digital boundary here? So there is a concept called doom scrolling. Yeah, doom scrolling, sorry, not trolling, doom scrolling, which I have experienced myself also when I recently understood the concept. And while I'm not still Instagram savvy, I'm getting my hang of it. It's extremely dangerous, extremely addictive, and I get it. I agree with you. It is something that Can you hear me now? Great. So I'll repeat myself. When we talk about digital boundaries, what I mean is that I have experienced it myself and I'm painfully aware of the damage and the loss that it causes on my time. So, what we do is whenever I go on Instagram, I set up a timer. So, I know that I'm going to go on Instagram right now. I will put either a 15-minute or a half an hour timer so that I'm aware of the amount of time I'm spending. Now, when we correlate sleep and digital boundaries, it is plainly because the moment you go to your bed and if you take your digital screen to your bed, your mind is going to be very active and it's going to resist relaxing. So, my recommendation to most of my clients, including students, when I have these kind of webinars, is 1 hour before your bedtime, avoid screen time. Avoid it as much as you can. And I understand you have your projects, you have your submissions, but time it accordingly. If not 1 hour, at least half an hour. Okay. Now, the last and the most important thing is exercise and movement. Why exercise and movement? Because most of the time you all are attending lectures, you're having a sedentary lifestyle. If you are not doing any kind of exercise, your body fluctuation of blood, hormones, energy, water, food, digestion, all these things are not getting any kind of movement. They get static, and this is the reason why small health issues start coming up. So, any kind of exercise, any kind of movement, be it gymming, yoga, pranayam, or Zumba, dance classes, anything that helps you move your body must be followed at least 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. And when I say emotional outlet, exercise also helps you with an emotional outlet. Art helps, music helps, anything that helps you express yourself. Some children get this pleasure in curating the way they dress up or the way they accessorize themselves. That is their emotional outlet of expressing their personality. Some people are good at sketching, some are good at music, some are good at poetry, some are good at maybe gymming. Anything that allows you to have an emotional outlet is very helpful to have a proper holistic approach. Okay. Now, the next slide that we are going to cover is going to be the physical and mental health. You go through life without any kind of awareness of what you are feeling or what you are experiencing as an individual. Okay. This is just to give you a rough idea. So when you are in your adolescence and when you are experiencing college life, what happens is you are understanding what you like, what you don't like. You're trying to figure out what is my identity, what do I want to be, whether I want to study engineering, whether I want to go into arts, whether I want to do math, I want to do physics. There are so many choices. So that is the main experience that you're going through adolescence and college. Then comes this pressure of academic performance and where there are constant comparisons. Now, while as parents we try our best not to, sometimes you as students yourself also tend to compare. This adds to stress. Okay. Now, as young adults, after you progress through your college life, you're going to go into your career deciding options. What do I want to do? I've studied so much. What do I have to do as choose as my career? You have your various job options. Then selecting what is going to help you be productive and give you satisfaction. So that pressure adds on. Then you start getting into relationships. You have these expectations of your relationships because now you're becoming a young adult, whether you want to continue being in a relationship, whether you want to settle down, whether you want to still give time. So many questions. So this is again added stress. Then comes your midlife to old age. Major lifestyle disorders start when you are an adolescent through your young adult, but they start showing signs in your midlife. When I say midlife, I mean after your 30s or 35. So, whatever you're doing right now as college students, if you're not eating healthy, if you're not sleeping well, if you don't have good emotional outlet, all this is going to show up when you become, when you are in the peak of your career, probably after 30. You're going to start having maybe pre-diabetes. You're going to have weight issues, hypertension probably, or you might develop an autoimmune disease. So all these factors have to be considered, and At any given point of time, I must say that you have to appreciate your institution where they take pride in making these kind of activities available to you as students, because mental health cannot be taken lightly in the present day, because indirectly it affects your physical health. Let me give you an example. So all these stages, if they are not balanced properly, if they are not processed properly, they lead to these kind of issues which are mentioned to the left of the slide, that is your anxiety, your self doubt, depression, fear, anger even. So all these are emotions that are the top most experienced throughout these stages of life, along with a lot of others also. But imagine if you learn to balance them at a younger age when you're in college. So let me give you something to think about. Anxiety is not something that you should take lightly. When you're studying, suppose you mention it very casually to your friends, अरे यार मुझे तो बहुत anxiety हो रही है exams के बारे में, अरे I'm so depressed that that concert is not playing and I can't go. These are very heavy words. Don't use them so lightly for yourself. Don't take them in your aura or in your life also, because trust me, there are patients who are dealing with serious health issues where these things are concerned. They have to pop pills on a regular basis, and I would not recommend using these words so lightly. So anxiety mainly happens when you do not have any kind of perspective about your past and you're stressed about your future, because of which you're unable to focus on the presence. That is your present life, where you are present, what are you doing. So I highly recommend understanding this. Anxiety is purely being felt because you're either overthinking about the future or overthinking about the past. The moment you stop and bring yourself to the present, you will be able to process it better. So, before we go to the next slide, I want you to reiterate on this. Whatever you're doing with your life today as a college student is going to show up in your midlife and is going to help you to live a better life. So, be aware of it today so that you can have a better life tomorrow. Next, I want to go with the theme that we are discussing today, that is inclusive health perspective. Now, if you are a child that is born with any kind of neurodiversity awareness, where you have autism, you have ADHD, these are some, which are commonly used. These children need special attention. And when I say special attention, I don't mean that they need to be kept in a box separately, carefully. No. We need to create environments for them that are more inclusive, that don't make them feel different. Okay? Disability inclusion, where we have created safe spaces, we create atmospheres where children or students suffering from any kind of disability do not feel that they are not fitting in. They should not feel that they cannot be themselves or they are judged for what they have been experiencing. Okay, now LGBTQIA and mental health sensitivity. I don't know if you have had this conversation in your college, or I don't know if you have discussed this with your friends earlier. This is something that is very sensitive, being discussed in our culture and in our country presently, because there is a lot of news, there is a lot of social media coverage, but we as a community are not very inclusive to the LGBTQIA. Now, while I understand that these concepts are introduced to us much later, if you do not have the knowledge, if you do not know and it makes you nervous, I sincerely urge you to just be kind. That's all you need to do. You don't need to have all the answers, you don't need to know all the meanings, and you don't need to agree or disagree with anything. As a student, in your atmosphere, if you experience anybody expressing these kind of preferences, the only thing you need to be is kind. Don't get into anything else but express kindness and lead with kindness. Okay, then let's come to socio-economic health disparities. When I say socio-economic, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean a lot of things, especially with respect to different economic backgrounds. where the capacity to spend, the capacity to take vacations or even eat at your common restaurant becomes a task, because everybody is going through different stages of their life. They come from different family backgrounds, and it's not necessarily possible for everyone to do everything. So, when we talk about these different parameters in one individual, you have to be aware of the challenges that they are facing. So, can you imagine a disabled child who has ADHD, who prefers to be gay, and doesn't come from a good socio-economic background? What if they are suffering from all these four aspects? How would you treat them? How would you understand them and extend that courtesy to help them feel included? 90% of the time, having worked with some of them, I promise you the only thing they need is kindness and the feeling that they are seen and not judged. Okay? Remember these two things. They should be feel seen and they should not be feel judged. Extend kindness, and let's try our best that given your capacity, we have to make sure that we want to make it accessible, holistic health to all these areas. Yes? Now, gender sensitive health awareness. Now, this is something that is a very interesting topic which gets touched upon a lot, even when I am discussing it in my corporate workshops, in colleges, with teachers. There is always this argument, okay, women have it tougher, men have it easier. And I am not here to give you an answer on this. I haven't found the answer. I don't have a solution. I have an awareness that we as a culture in India, we have grown up seeing certain things, we have grown up understanding certain concepts, and I have this very strong belief that we are headed in the right direction, where there is becoming this beautiful rise of individuals and youngsters who believe in maintaining culture but being supportive and having the knowledge of what is to be done ritualistically as a culture and what is to be done as a human act out of kindness. Yes, I have a very strong belief in that. I believe in it very strongly. I live in a family like that. And wherever I go for sessions, I believe the percentage of people who are not aware is reducing day by day. So it gives me a lot of joy. Now, coming back to the slide, we have to remember that stress is affecting all genders. There is no universal currency that says that this I will give only to women and this I will give only to men. No. The definition of stress implies that it is stress to the human mind. When I say human, I mean women and men both. Okay. So, first, you have to be very clear with that. Stress affects all genders. It is not about whether a boy is being more stressed, a girl is getting less stressed. No. Definitions are different for both. Okay. And like I mentioned previously, kindness is not expensive. Emotional support can be extended to both. So, like the stress is common, emotional support that they seek is also common in both these situations. Now, differences that we cannot take lightly. I have to stress on this point because this is something that we can't ignore. It's it's God made, it's not man made. Okay. Now, most of you all will agree with me. The hormonal changes that women go through from the time they start getting their menses, if they are experiencing PCOD issues, PCOS issues, if they are going through early marriage, if they experience pregnancies, miscarriages, a lot of their entire being is to do with hormones. And as the other part of this, as men, you have to have awareness. There is no need for you to be very callous about it. And the easiest thing I can do is go on Google, check, understand, so that you can create this environment and a safe space for your friends, for your sisters, for your mothers, in your future wives also. Okay. Now, when I talk about hormonal health factors, I want to give you one perspective also. I was discussing it with another colleague of mine today morning. So, in a month, a woman has barely 4 to 5 days where she is in a good mood, where all her hormones are balanced. So, imagine you have 30 days in a month. Out of that, it's science based, you have only 4 or 5 good days where everything is balanced inside your body. Otherwise, you have PMS, that is before your period cycle. Then you have PMS, that is after your period cycle, during your period cycle. There is a lot of utar chadao, guys. So, while most of you say very callously, or वो slang में, are you PMSing or what? इतना क्या mood swings हो रहा है तेरा? मत बोलो यार, बहुत hurt होता है. Be a little kind, be a little gentle, offer support like maybe ice cream or chocolates or some cold drinks, but don't be so judgmental, because trust me, it's difficult. Yeah. Now, the next point I want to talk about is the social stigma around mental health in women. Mental health in men. Do you see how easily woman rolls off my tongue and men takes time? Yeah. Now, this happens because mental health in our society has not been extended to the male gender that easily. From childhood, you are taught कि क्या लड़की जैसे रोता है. Stop crying, be a man, face it. जाके लड़के आ जा, या मार खा के आया तो देख लेना. But there is no awareness or safe space that is created कि शायद उसको मार नहीं खाना है, या शायद उसको रोना आ रहा है, and that should be okay. You as an individual are allowed to express your emotions, not keeping gender as a deal breaker. There is no rule book that says that only women can cry or only women can, be so expressive. Okay. Now, understanding this is very important. Why this is important? Let me explain. See your surroundings, see the communication that you're going through, see the knowledge that you all talk about, the conversations, and you as students only be aware. So, if you see the language, you will also find this disparity where women are treated differently, men are treated differently. So, be aware of these things, and at your level, as youngsters, if you try changing the narrative, by the time you reach adulthood, the entire scenario is going to be very different. Yes. So what we are going to strive on is making it accessible and safety concerns for all genders. When I say accessible, I mean making sure that each and every organization has a mental health warrior who is certified, who is trained to handle difficult situations, and who is aware of how to make the person feel included and seen. That is making mental health accessible to individuals. So you can check with your college, you can check. I'm sure it's a mandate now in most colleges to have counselors and coordinators who are helping students to cope with difficult situations, if any. Yeah. Now, moving ahead, safety concerns that I want to mention is being aware of anybody who is going through some serious issues where you feel that person might be causing physical harm to self and others. Then you need to report it to your, teachers, or you need to report it to the concerned authorities. But that can happen only when you have awareness. If you don't have awareness, you're going to randomly keep assuming things are, people are having issues. So I highly recommend that first become aware about the various situations and then start trying to help other people. Yes. Next, we are going to talk about awareness. Why we are stressing on awareness. Awareness is something that we need to take very, very importantly. And when I say awareness, I want to spend some time on this because we are not in the present state of mind where we either follow what is on Instagram and Reels, or we follow rules or things that we have seen in our nature and nurture around us without applying our own brain to it, without applying whether do we want to have an issue like this, do we want to discuss this, do we want to understand this. So I highly recommend you as students to have conversations within your groups, have conversations within your families, and check in on each other. When I say check in, I mean not the general message, Are kya kar rahi hai? Kaisi hai? No. Sometimes when a friend is checking in on you, asking you to meet for coffee, it might be their way of saying, I need to just vent, or I need some time. Can we just spend some time alone? And let me be very honest with you, it's not just students who are stressed, there are different stages of life. You have young children, you have adolescent, college, you might be having your parents also who are going through different stresses in their life. You have your grandparents. Be aware of these things. Be aware of what is going on around you, so that in your capacity as a student, in your capacity as an individual, or maybe an 18 to 21-year-old, you will extend that kindness to somebody who needs it. And that one act of kindness of saying, hey, hi, I like the way you're dressed today. Or, oh, that was a lovely presentation. Where did you research it? I want to know. That might make somebody's day. It might make somebody feel seen or heard and make them feel included. Oh, I was noticed today. Oh, they liked what I said. Or, oh, she liked what I was wearing. I should share my shop name with her. Anything. It can be anything small. Now, imagine if you start doing this at your home. First, your parents, if you are from that household where you don't talk about these things, first your parents or your siblings are going to be, what's wrong with you today? Why are you being so nice? Kya chahiye tujhe? So, that's the usual understanding that is there. But imagine if you start following this, where you start making this a habit, where you're kind to people, where you believe in, extending your kindness without any expectation. There will be that awareness of how you're conducting yourself and people around you. Similarly, you will be creating a safe space for everyone. Yes. Now, we are going to discuss and come back, round off before we end off this session, to the first slide that we had discussed. What we discussed was that, just give me 1 second. Okay. Now, what I want to discuss before we end our session is going back to the first slide, that is 86,400 seconds. Okay, 86,400 seconds is your daily choice. Your daily choice, how are you spending? Are you scrolling or are you sleeping? Now, in all honesty, how many times have you sat and have you just scrolled? And how many times have you made a conscious effort to go to sleep? No, I have to take care. I need to, be very careful. My sleep time has to be taken care of. How many of you actually do that? Yeah. Then let's come to compare or create. Your day to day life, how are you living? What are you doing? Are you comparing your life to your friends, or are you creating what makes you happy? Creating your happiness, your responsibility is lies where it makes what gives you happiness. What things do you do? What food do you eat? Whom do you interact with? Whom are you surrounded by? All these things make a lot of difference on your holistic health. Then we want to talk about suppress or express. Are you able to express your emotions in a healthy way without affecting the people around you? Are you able to express in a way where you are feeling seen and heard without sounding or coming across as somebody who's being too judgmental? Or you're constantly suppressing all your emotions? Yes, we need to analyze these things. We need to understand where we are coming from. And it is very important to make these small, consistent changes. Now, there are some recommendations that I would like to make before we end the session. Now, the first thing that I want you to do is form this 21-day habit. I don't know if you all are aware of this, but any good habit, for it to become a part of your life, takes around 21 days. Okay, so when I say 21 days, I highly recommend small, consistent changes that are monitored for 21 days. For example, if I set an alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning every day and I make it a point to get out of bed at 5:15, If you follow this consistently for 21 days, that consistent change is going to become a part of your life. Yeah. So I highly recommend you try this, definitely. And before you try this, I want you to make a list of the changes that you want to bring about in your life. So, suppose in my case, I get up very early, but when I get up and I rush immediately to the kitchen because I have to, prepare my tiffin for my little one. And sometimes it distracts me from my morning meditation, and that time lap हो जाता है. So I highly recommend try it, because this 21-day habit of getting up at 5 and then going into the kitchen not before 5:45 has helped me to start my day with calm. I sit with myself, do my journaling, do my art practice, and then I begin my day. So the day is not starting with a hurry. Yeah, I hope I'm making some sense, because I know of students who come to me with a lot of anxiety, and the first thing I ask them is, "What do you do when you get up?" They say, "Ma'am, we get up, get ready, and rush to college in 15 minutes." You're not allowing your body any time to breathe or to think, "Okay, okay, I'm starting my day today." All this sounds very. कौन सुबह सुबह उठ के इतना सोचने बैठेगा टुडे आई हैव नो इट टेक्स जस्ट 1 second to create that thought. So if I get up and the first thing that comes to my mind is, oh shit, I'm late, I'm going to miss my train, your whole day is going to be in a hurry. Instead, if I get up and the first thing that comes to my mind is going to be, thank you, today I'm going to have a wonderful day, something wonderful is going to happen today. Imagine the narrative change that you're bringing about in your life. Consider it. Consider it with all seriousness, because this is tried and tested, more than 5 years of experience. I'm telling you confidently, just this mindset shift is going to help you a lot in the long run. Coming back to self-awareness is preventive health. Going back to the previous slide where I mentioned awareness, here self is going to be very important. Why self? Why are we talking about self? Because जब तक मैं खुद के बारे में नहीं जानूंगी, why would I want to judge other people, or why would I want to say what other people are doing? Yeah, it is very important to understand if I am not aware about myself. When I say self awareness, I don't mean I like pav bhaji and I like pani puri, I don't like spicy food. That is not the only awareness we are talking about. We are talking about your emotional triggers. We are talking about if you have processed your any kind of childhood trauma, if you have experienced it, if you are processing your anger in a healthy way, if you're processing your stress in a healthy way, or how are you processing your stress? For some people, stress becomes an outlet by eating. They are stress eaters. Some people smoke when they are stressed. Some people like to drink when they are stressed. Some people get angry when they are stressed. But if you notice, if they are not self aware, by the time they become calm, their behavior seems normal. हाँ हो गया गुस्सा यार थोड़ा उसमें कुछ नहीं है, I calm down very easily. No. But that trigger that causes you to get so angry can harm not only your internal environment, but it can harm gravely the people around you. Your emotional balance can be disturbed, your relationships can be destroyed. Not only that, like we discussed in the previous slides, all the damage that you're doing to your body right now is going to show up in your midlife. It's going to start creeping in, and that time you're going to sit and wonder, ये कहाँ से आ रहा है? Why is this coming? ये मैंने ध्यान क्यों नहीं दिया पहले? Suddenly ऑटो इम्यून डिजीज हो जाता है, सडनली प्री डायबिटीज आ जाता है, because you were a stress eater. Suddenly hypertension will come up because you did not process your anger properly. All these stored emotions or emotions that are not processed in a proper way come to bite you in the long run. That is why self awareness is important. If you have a family history of heart condition or diabetes, you have to be aware of it. Be aware, have this conversation with your parents, that what are the hereditary health issues that you have, so you can start making lifestyle issues from now. I'm sure most of you are in the age bracket of between maybe 18 or 21. And imagine if you start living a life that is very self aware from today, 13th February 2026. Imagine the impact it's going to have on your lives 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, 13 February 2036 or 2046. You will be in a much better space physically, mentally. You will be having healthier relationships, not only with your spouses, but your future children and your aging parents. Yes. So self awareness, coming back and reiterating, is extremely important because till you don't understand where you are struggling or what areas of your life you need to work on, it is not fair that you expect change, and rather you should not expect change from anyone else around you. Now, say we are a billion or more than a billion people in our country alone, and if even 50 or 30% of us start becoming more self aware, can you imagine the narrative that is going to change? Or can you imagine the relationship that is going to change with your aging parents and the entire scenario across generations? So, it's very easier to expect other people to change, but when that same finger is pointed at you, that time you're going to be, oh, I did not think about this. I do get angry a lot. Yeah, I do tend to stress eat. Yeah, I do tend to lash out. Yes. So I highly encourage become self-aware, and these kind of activities can be done only when you start observing your own behavior and not taking advice from other people to understand who you are. Nobody knows you better than you. ये जो फ्रेंडशिप और सब बोलते हैं ना, अरे मेरा बेस्ट फ्रेंड है, मैं इसको जितना जानता हूँ वो खुद नहीं जानता है, वो अच्छा लगता है रिलेशनशिप में वगैरह, सब सच है, बट योर इनर मोस्ट डार्क थॉट्स ओनली यू नो. What level of anger you have, what level of fear you are experiencing, that only you know. So you have to be self aware, have to be processing that emotion in a healthy way and handle it accordingly. Yes. Now, coming back, we are going to make sure that going forward, we are all spending our 86,400 seconds every day in a healthy way. So, if you are agreeing with me, if this is making any sense to you, I want you all to send me 86,400 with a smiley face or whatever you want in the chat box right away, so that it's like a virtual promise you're making to yourself that I am taking care of my 86,400 seconds today. Yes. Before we wind up the session, before we go into Q&A, I want to see my chat going tuck, 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 tuck with 86,400 seconds in the bank. Yes. Can I get some messages quickly? So we are going to scroll better. We are going to sleep better. We are going to be creating more. We are going to be expressing more, making consistent changes in our life. And we are going to have the 86,400 seconds in our bank of life. Correct? Now, I am going to open the forum for some Q&A. We already have some questions which are there in the chat box. I'm just going through them. Give me a couple of seconds. Sanatankar says excited. Thank you. Biju sir, very nice to have you here. Thank you so much. There is a question from Sanatankar, that is, what are simple daily habits to maintain emotional balance? Sanatankar, this is a very important question. I would like to say thank you, first of all, for this, because the daily habits that you can follow for emotional balance to begin with are meditation. It helps gravely to have an emotional balance and to start off your day with awareness. Like I mentioned, when you get up in the morning, you start with that hurry. Oh no, I'm running late. No, you're going to start off your day with that awareness that it's okay, got up a little late, I'll figure it out. I'm going to have a wonderful day today. So, self awareness helps you with your emotional balance, where you are aware of your triggers, you're aware of what irritates you, um, what kind of behaviors, people, foods, all the nouns. So you become aware. That is something that will help you to maintain your emotional balance to a very, very good level. followed by all the topics that we had discussed in our presentation PPT today, where I would like to elaborate on exercise, movement, and this gift that our country has given to the world at large called yoga. Okay, so I have this very dear friend also who's a practitioner, and she always says it's not yoga, it's yoga. Okay, so I'm going to highly recommend you all follow that also. Simple breath work exercises also help in a long way. And something that I tell my clients, I would recommend here also. So, emotional imbalance happens when we express our emotions without thinking. So, suppose you're in a situation and suppose somebody says something to you and it irks you. I would highly recommend the 3 second rule. The 3 second rule is where you count backward in your head. So 3, 2, 1, and then you respond. Now, if the 3 second rule doesn't work for you, try the 10 second rule, because I started with the 10 seconds and now I have reached 3 seconds. So every time before you respond to something, you will take time, pause, and then say. That allows your mind and body to get regulated emotionally. It allows you to think, okay, this is a trigger for me. I don't like this tone, or maybe I don't like the way this is being said, but I don't want to add to this. So I will not talk in the same way. I will choose my reaction better. So, Sanatankar, I hope I have answered your question. To make it more concise again, the daily habits that will help you to maintain your emotional balance are meditation, self-awareness, exercise, and having healthy safe spaces with your family, your relationships. Also identify those safe spaces where you go and you feel seen and heard. And I highly encourage you practice that with your family first and then go to your outer circle. Yes. Then we have Sudipto Sudipto Ghosh, who asks me, what are some effective ways students can manage stress during their college years while balancing academics, social life, and personal growth? Sudipto, that's again a very good question. I'm going to read it again because I want to break it down while I answer it to you. So, what are some of the effective ways students can manage their stress? I'm going to address just that part of the question first. First of all, when you use the word stress, I want you to be aware that being a student is a phase in your life. It's not your entire life. Before you became a student, you were a school student. After you finish your college, also you're going to be a, either you're going to work in an office or you're going to be an entrepreneur. But this is a phase of your life. This is not your entire life. So when you create that awareness, every time you experience some kind of stress, you will be able to handle it better and solutions will come easier. That is one part of it. That is something that I recommend everybody to believe. The moment you feel anxious, the moment you feel, "Arey, kya ho raha hai mere saath, meri life mein?" No, this is just a phase. This is going to change tomorrow. Today I'm feeling sad about something, tomorrow I'm going to feel better about it. Or I'm going to probably laugh with my friends later. Okay? So manage stress by first understanding this, that this is just a phase. It's not your entire life. Okay? During their college years, while balancing academics, social life, and personal growth. Again, I come back to self awareness strongly. Self awareness of what is your background, where do you come from, what is your family, what is your academic aim. Yes. So sometimes what happens is we push ourselves in situations without being aware of our own capacities. So you have to be very aware of what are your expectations from home, what are your personal expectations from your life, and then put yourself in situations. So sometimes I have experienced this with students who come to me and they feel that, मैम इतना सब कुछ चल रहा है ना, मेरे को समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. So then we break down their day. The 86,400 seconds is what we break down. And when we break down and list down we realize that 80% of your day is spent doing things that you really don't like doing. It might be doom scrolling, it might be interacting with friends whom you really don't like or who don't add value, or debating or fighting or doing things that don't really add value to your life. So I want you to understand, where are you spending these 86,400 seconds of your day? Break it down and identify what gives you happiness, what is essential, and what is a non negotiable. So, non negotiable is attending your important lectures because you're a student. That is what you're supposed to do. That's a non negotiable for you. You don't have a choice, you have to do it. Secondly, what gives you happiness? That will be your hanging out with your close friends, celebrating your life with your family. It can be your exercise, your artwork, whatever gives you happiness. And when I say happiness, I mean pure joy. You get a smile, you feel relaxed. These are the two things that you need to take care of. When you take care of these two things, everything else falls in place. देर इज नो नीड टू बैलेंस देन, बिकॉज एक बार वो पूरा लेजर खुल गया ना आपका कि आप कैसे टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हो 86,400 seconds, you will get more clarity. Oh, I'm wasting so much time in this, I didn't even realize it. मुझे एक एक्स्ट्रा डिग्री परस्यू करनी थी, मुझे एक एक्स्ट्रा लैंग्वेज सीखनी थी, पर मेरे पास है ना मैम टाइम ही नहीं है. टाइम नहीं है क्योंकि हम टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हैं या तो इंस्टाग्राम पे या तो वो कॉफी शॉप में, जहाँ पे जरूरी नहीं है कि हेल्दी कॉन्वर्सेशंस हो रहे हैं. यू आर हैविंग रैंडम कॉन्वर्सेशंस दैट डोंट ऐड वैल्यू टू योर लाइफ. So I highly encourage you कि while in a week there are 7 days, you can do these random things, say twice or thrice a week. But the majority of the week, you can watch your schedule, and I promise you, you'll be able to find a balance. I promise you. So when you find this balance, your this need for finding effective way to manage stress automatically gets taken care of. Because your mind is not doing things that you're not interested in doing. You're not forcing your mind. You're adding value. Yes? So I hope I was able to help Sudipto with that question. Then we have Biju sir, who is asking, how can universities integrate inclusive health awareness into non-medical curriculum such as engineering? I think Biju sir, you're already doing it. One of these sessions that we are having right now, that are in progress right now, can be considered as one of the health awareness initiatives that can be done. Also, I highly recommend having mental health checkups on a regular basis for your support staff, for your teachers, because the energy comes top down. So while students also work at their level and they bring that energy to the table, sometimes the energy is top down also. What is the mindset that the teachers might be coming into the class with? And along with that, if you want to have some mental health drives where your college students are being educated about the various health issues that they can face when they don't process their mental health properly. Yeah, along with that, in if you want to have a portion of your curriculum, maybe you can have some kind of art activity or some kind of musical therapy that becomes mandatory. Maybe one lecture in a week where it becomes mandatory that students have to involve themselves into these things, and it becomes a compulsory thing at least once a week. So it can vary. So in a month, maybe 1 month, four lectures are there in a week for maybe art, where they are doing expressive art. Then there can be one which can be about music, again expressive music. There can be expressive dance, expressive drama. So 4 months go by like this only. And if you include that as a compulsion, even if it is done once in 2 weeks, I think it will have a huge impact on students, where they will feel safe to express themselves in a non-judgmental atmosphere amongst their peers. Because what I feel more than anything, sometimes there is a lack of support from your own peers. It's not necessary that everybody is going to encourage you singing in a hoarse voice. But if somebody understands that this is from the point of view of mental health expression, where they just feel like singing, but they are aware that they don't have a good voice. We have these kind of experiences in music therapy when we have students coming in, but it's just a form of expressing themselves. So, Biju sir, I hope that helped to understand. Then we have some comments where they are saying, congratulations, very informative. Thank you, Vaishali. And what are some early warning signs of mental health concerns that individuals and families should not ignore? This question is by Shweta Pradeep. It's a very important question, and I would like to repeat it. What are some early warning signs of mental health concerns that individuals and families should not ignore? Now, mental health issues don't start like this. It's not like getting a cut or falling down. It's not that sudden. It is something that festers inside a mind for over a period of time. So you will probably miss out on most of the early warning signs. But as a group or as part of a family, what I recommend you do is have difficult conversations. Have difficult conversations with your friends, even your family, adults in your family, that how was their day going? Is something worrying them? Because we as a culture do not encourage expressing emotions. Um, Hugging your parents doesn't come easily, or talking to your elder sibling doesn't come that easily. So, while there are chances that you will miss on the early warning signs, I'll mention them what they are. But before we do that, I want you to pay attention to this. What is the conversation that is happening in your group? Are you spending time to listen to each other? Because I personally believe listening is a skill that is very rare. When something happens, you'll say, यार उसने बताया ही नहीं, मुझे पता ही नहीं था उसके लाइफ में ये सब चल रहा है. Were you ever available to listen? So before we discuss the early signs, I want you to sit and understand, am I actually extending a listening ear to people around me? Or am I the one who's constantly hogging on the attention? Or always I want the eyes on me? What kind of an individual are you? And what is the energy that you bring to the room? So I highly encourage listening skills where suppose your friend wants to say something or your family member wants to say something, before they have finished completing their sentence, you will jump to give a solution. They might not need a solution. They might just need to be heard. 95% of the time, people who come with mental health concerns always feel that they were not given attention, they were not seen, they were ignored, and their needs were not met. Okay, so first we have to be aware of our environment, make sure that we are extending that courtesy to people who are with us, extending a listening ear in a non judgmental environment. Okay, now the early signs can mean withdrawal like somebody who's very active, somebody who is very enthusiastic suddenly becomes non interested without any explanation and starts withdrawing into not attending lectures, not coming to your group activities or events, stops responding to messages, and stops replying to any kind of questions. If there is a logical explanation, like for example, they are not well, somebody's got high fever, so they are resting, so they did not come, that is different. Second is loss of a loved one, where somebody is going through grief, so they express emotions in this way. Third is possibility where they are going through something. So first you have to consider these two things. Either they are not well, physical symptoms, something they are going through, so they are not coming out or something. Then there's a loss of loved one. And third one is where they are going through something at a very deep level where they start withdrawing. Then it can be sudden weight gain, sudden weight loss, because some can be stress eaters, some can be people who stop eating when they are stressed. Then there is sleep deprivation, okay, and there is a lack of personal hygiene. where there is no interest in taking care of yourself, getting up, brushing, taking a bath, eating food. So these are some signs that you can take care of when you feel something seems an off. These can be the early warning signs. Shweta, I hope these are explanatory. And before we go to the next question, I also want to discuss this. Mental health is not taken very, the conversation is not very easily approached in our community or in our culture. So if you have somebody whom you feel is going through something, I highly recommend you do not use the word therapy like Save Puri. I have had students who come to me and tell me that very casually somebody said, "Ki, Arey, you need therapy." No, everybody doesn't need therapy. Please don't use it so casually. I think I need therapy. No, you don't need therapy. You just need to calm down and you need to just observe your entire schedule first, analyze your life, see your surroundings, become self aware, and address that situation. If you are the one who's judging that person just because that person wanted 2 minutes of extra time that you can listen, because you don't have that currency of time to spend with your loved one, it is becoming too much for you to handle. You will label them, "Are something is wrong, you go, I think you need therapy." No, you need to give that 2 seconds of time to that person, listen, then let a professional take over if needed. 99% of the time when I'm conducting heart therapy, when I'm doing the annual mental health checkups, there is no need for anyone to take therapy if they are addressing their day-to-day issues properly. So if the holistic health is not balanced, your physical, mental well-being, social well-being, emotional well-being, which we discussed initially, that is when you will start making use of these slangs so casually. So be aware of these things, guys. Thank you, ma'am Sanatankar. You're welcome. Well explained, informative session, Pratibha. Thank you so much. What practice can an organization adapt to create neurodiversity friendly environment? Sonal, that's again a very deep question. And while I am a mental health professional, neurodivergent children is a completely different part of mental health that I respect very deeply. And I have my own colleagues and I have friends who are champions in this area. So, if you have um, certain questions, or if you have specific needs, or you know of someone who needs help, I have shared my email, and you can definitely try and gauge that. But otherwise, in an organization, the general practice that can be done is just to allow them the feeling of that they are included, that they are not judged for what they are. So sometimes what happens with ADHD children is that they take time, they cannot focus on one activity. So there is an assumption कि इसको तो focus ही नहीं. No, their brain alignment and their physicalities are not. There is a synopsis lapse, so it takes time. It's this is faster. So there's an assumption. So we should become more self-aware. So we create an environment that makes them feel included. Yeah. And more than the neurodivergent child or the person, the caretaker also requires a huge amount of support. It is not something that we should take lightly. Yes. Then we have a question: how important is diet in maintaining holistic health? It is as important as the air you breathe, because imagine you're driving a car on empty. If you don't put in the fuel, your car is not going to drive. Diet is the fuel that you're putting inside your body. So if you put rubbish inside, your output is going to be rubbish. It's like you're pouring petrol in a diesel car. To explain it in plain words, it is extremely dangerous. I don't think diet should be taken lightly. It can have a deep impact on your day to day life. And I highly recommend you eat foodstuffs that are commonly used in your day to day life, that are eaten by generations. And if you feel there is some major physical issue that you are experiencing, like PCOS, PCOD, or weight gain, or anything, then definitely go to a professional to get a proper diet. बट मुझे हमेशा ऐसे लगता है कि जब होलिस्टिक हेल्थ है, जैसे एक्सरसाइज है, स्लीप टाइम है, तुम्हारा जो इमोशनल कोशेंट, whom are you surrounding yourself with, your relationship with your parents, your siblings, your extended family, when all these things are taken care of, everything falls in place. The problem is we rush to fix one part. Like suppose we discuss diet. I told you diet is important today. You're going to end this session, go run to a nutritionist. The nutritionist is also going to ask you how much water do you drink, how much time do you sleep, do you live alone, do you live with a family. They also focus on all these things. So while diet is extremely important, you need to take care of everything and become aware. Again, self awareness is very important. Without being self aware, if you jump into these things, you're going to get results that you are not desiring. You'll get results, but you'll not get what you have desired. Okay. um, Nimisha, I hope I was able to answer your question. um, ashwath Ashwath, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. What are the most overlooked aspects of preventive physical health? Nutrition, sleep, regular screening, physical activity. I think you've answered them, no, Ashwath? I think you've answered them. I just realized I haven't drank water. Just give me 1 second. I think you've answered your own question, Ashwath. What are the most overlooked aspects of preventive physical health? Again, sleep, nutrition, activity, emotional health, your social interactions with people. All these need to be monitored carefully. If you don't take care of them, you're going to suffer. You're going to suffer in the long run. And I seriously want to address the fact that you have to appreciate your organization, I mean, sorry, your institute, SIAs, because they are having these kind of sessions where you as a student become aware. So as professionals, we are called in corporate setups to help young adults to deal with emotions that they were not able to process when they were students. So understand, if your institute is curating these workshops for you right now, that allows you access to these kind of professionals who are able to understand. And like, in my case right now, where I'm creating this presentation, sitting and curating it for you, you're spending your time and energy to, watch this. I think then change and action has to be taken so that you have a better holistic life. How does holistic health, there's a question from Janman Jai Verma. How does holistic health integrate physical, mental, emotional, and social well being? And what simple preventive steps can individuals start today? I think I mentioned this, and it's something that I'm going to say that's going to be repetitive, but I'll still address it. When you say holistic health integrate, it means, I believe what you mean is it's all related, it's all interconnected, and that is why when you have a good physical health, it comes when you sleep properly also and you exercise properly also. You can't separate sleep and you can't separate exercise. Correct? So imagine if you had a bad argument with a friend, you are not able to sleep, and you go for a gym workout. The productivity of your body, the strain on your muscles is going to be different. Correct? And simple preventive steps, just sleep on time. That's what I tell all my students. Time पे सो जाओ. वो पता है मीम है, टाइम पे उठ जाते तो सब अच्छा हो जाता लाइफ में. नो, वट एवर आर एल्डर्स यूज टू टेल, इट्स ट्रू. स्लीप इज द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग, बिकॉज that is the time when your body is recuperating, repairing the cells, rebuilding for the next day. So people who are functioning on 2 hours of sleep and 3 hours of sleep on a regular basis. So when you have your exams, when you have events like this, you have your team working back end, that all is different. But on a regular basis, if you're functioning on 2-3 hours of sleep, it's highly dangerous. So the biggest and the first thing that comes to my mind is always better sleep, better food, avoid junk, and avoid what kind of programs you're watching also, because that influences your mind. Then you have Otto Shankar asking me, how can communities encourage mental health awareness and checkups? By contacting professionals like us. We can have drives, we can have initiatives, we can have webinars like this that creates awareness. And as a community, we end up making more safe spaces for individuals. When dealing with career related stress, at what point can I recognize whether the stress can be dealt with by switching career paths or by sticking to the path and choosing other methods? Akshadeep, I believe that this is a question that you can answer yourself. If you're in a career which is not giving you any kind of mental satisfaction, so my work, the work that I do individually, is strongly based on the concept of a Japanese concept of ikigai. My brand name is also called Ikigai for the Soul. So I have practiced this myself, and I will tell you this. I have a degree in textile and fashion technology and a BSc in home science. I post graduated as an apparel merchant, and I have a successful career of over 13 years as a merchant in export houses. But then life happened. I went through some serious changes in my life with related to my health, and I went back to art. I got myself in a very deep hole that I couldn't come out of during my pregnancy, and I dealt with it by learning about art. That helped me without my knowledge. My GP was the one who told me what I'm doing is called art therapy. I got curious, so I started understanding it. I got certified, and now I have over 5 years of experience as an art therapist. And I have been curating workshops for corporates, for schools, for colleges for over 5 years now. So, when you understand what is causing physical harm, what is not giving you happiness anymore, it's time to switch. But having said that, everybody has responsibilities, everybody has pressures, financial stress, family expectations. That is when self awareness and communication kicks in. So, as students, if you start building on this in your family where you all have healthy conversations, difficult issues are addressed, these things get taken care of. Because when your stress levels are not managed properly, your mind is not free to think whether you really want to pursue this as a career or you want to change your path. So, your holistic health helps your mind to be well balanced, where you're able to differentiate between this stress. So I highly recommend having open conversations with your family, with yourself to begin with, and making sure that your holistic health is taken care of so that you can decide for yourself. Because at a point when your holistic health is taken care of and you had those safe conversations within your family and yourself, you will not reach a point where you will not be able to differentiate. You will be able to differentiate very early on that this is not working for me or this is not good for me. Okay, I hope I'm able to answer, Akshadeep, and this was okay for you, the response. Then you have, how can schools and workplaces integrate preventive mental health support effectively? I think Ayush have already explained that. Have more webinars, create self awareness campaigns. You're welcome, Sudipto. Thank you, Biju sir. Thank you, Shweta. I think I have finished the Q&A. Mukul, if you could just help me with this, I think we are done. And thank you so much. I would just request that before we end the session, I would like to share my slide, Mukul, where I would request students to please follow me on Instagram. If that is okay, you can scan this because this is something Biju sir has been a strong supporter, and I'm very grateful to him for inviting me and making me part of this again and again every year. I feel highly privileged to work with young adults, and I understand that access to young adults is through Instagram. So while I'm very active on LinkedIn and I do all my corporate events and trainings, I believe I have this strong sense that I want to change the scene at the younger level so that you all are more emotionally balanced individuals when you all enter the workforce. Yeah. So please keep following me, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Mukul, back to you. Y'all can reach me. I've shared my email ID also. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to write to me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing us to this amazing side of this
I don't
inclusive
think I
health
can hear you,
prevent.
Mukul. You're on mute, I think.
Uh, Ma'am, now, so I remember before engineering, so I used to
I
sleep
still
at
can't hear
10.
you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, I can hear
Now,
you now.
okay. So before joining engineering college, I used to sleep at 10. So that was a better schedule. Now completing assignments and exam schedules, so that has hampered the schedule very much. So hopefully our participants must have grasped some interesting knowledge on the topic.
Yes, I hope so too.
Yes.
That concludes the question answer session. We appreciate you very much, ma'am, and would like to extend the token of our appreciation. We really are honored to have you here, ma'am. Certainly, our participants gain new and exciting knowledge regarding the topic of technology behind creating a virtual person.
Thank you for joining with us. Finally, I want to express my gratitude to all attendees for their support. Good luck to everyone, and remember, tomorrow's hands on session will make use of the session knowledge gained today.
We'd like to express our gratitude to sponsor for their support. IEEE Maharashtra section, our technical sponsor.
Thank you for being such a great audience. We wish you all better luck with your upcoming endeavors and hope to see you in our next session, Designing Ayurvedic Wellness of Epsilon 2026 WI Track, Day 2.